What is true wealth? A life-changing story of true riches. Inspirational story. In a quiet valley surrounded by mountains stood the village of Everbrook. It was a peaceful place where people lived simple lives, helping one another through every season. At the edge of the village lived a young man named Noah. Noah had grown up in a poor family. His father was a carpenter, and his mother stitched clothes for the villagers. Although they never had much money, their home was always filled with laughter, warm meals, and kindness. As Noah grew older, he became convinced that money was the answer to every problem. "If I become rich," he often said, "I'll finally be happy." One day, he left the village to seek his fortune in the great city. Years passed. Noah worked harder than anyone else. He started a small business, invested wisely, and eventually became one of the city's wealthiest merchants. He bought a magnificent mansion, expensive carriages, fine clothes, and everything he had once dreamed of. People admired him. Many envied him. But every evening, when the celebrations ended and the guests returned home, Noah sat alone in silence. His mansion echoed with emptiness. His parents had passed away while he was too busy building his empire to visit them. His childhood friends had stopped writing because he never replied. The wealth he had gained had quietly cost him the relationships that mattered most. One rainy afternoon, Noah received a letter from the village elder. It contained only one sentence: "Come home. There is something you have forgotten." Curious, Noah returned to Everbrook after many years. The village looked almost the same. Children laughed in the streets. Neighbors greeted one another warmly. The smell of fresh bread drifted through the air. Everything felt peaceful. The village elder welcomed Noah with a gentle smile. Instead of speaking, he handed Noah a small wooden box. Inside were three simple items: a family photograph, a worn-out wooden spoon, and an old notebook. Confused, Noah asked, "What do these mean?" The elder replied, "The photograph reminds you of the people who loved you before you became successful. The spoon reminds you of the meals your family shared together, even when there was little food. And the notebook belonged to your father." Noah slowly opened it. On the final page, he found words written in his father's handwriting. "My son, if one day you become rich, never forget that wealth without love is poverty in disguise. A full wallet cannot replace an empty heart." Tears filled Noah's eyes. For the first time, he realized he had spent years chasing riches while losing the treasures that truly mattered. The next morning, Noah walked through the village. He saw neighbors rebuilding an old widow's house together. No one expected payment. They simply wanted to help. He watched children sharing their lunches with classmates who had none. He saw an elderly gardener smiling while planting flowers that he knew he might never live long enough to see fully bloom. Noah finally understood. True wealth wasn't something stored in a vault. It lived in generous hearts. Determined to change, Noah sold many of his luxuries. He used his fortune to build a library, repair the village school, provide clean water, and create scholarships for children who dreamed of learning. But he gave more than money. He gave his time. He listened to people. He laughed with children. He cared for the elderly. He rebuilt friendships he thought were lost forever. Years later, visitors asked the villagers, "Who is the richest man in Everbrook?" They all smiled and pointed toward Noah, not because he owned the most gold, but because he gave the most hope. When Noah grew old, he often sat beneath the same oak tree where he had played as a child. Young people would gather around him and ask, What is the greatest treasure a person can own? Noah would smile and answer, Gold may fill your hands, but only kindness can fill your heart. Wealth can build a house, but love builds a home. Success may earn you applause, but compassion earns you a place in people's hearts forever. As the sun set over Everbrook, Noah looked at the smiling faces around him and whispered, I spent half my life searching for wealth in the world. In the end, I found it in gratitude, family, friendship, generosity, and peace. And everyone who heard his story left with the same realization. The richest people are not those who possess the most. They are those whose lives become a blessing to others. True wealth is not counted in money, possessions, or status. It is found in love, gratitude, good health, meaningful relationships, generosity, and the positive impact you leave on others. When your heart is rich with kindness and your life brings hope to those around you, you possess the greatest treasure of all,